Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Kim and this is Expedition 3 Pages. Long time no speak, guys. Again, I'm so sorry. Life is just really busy at the moment. But I do have time for my TBR game, and I'm hoping also that come December, things are going to have died down quite a lot. So yeah, I'm trying to come up with some nice Christmassy video things that we can do. So today is the 1st of November, and so I'm going to be playing my TBR game. Last month we got really close to the end, and I was so determined to complete all the books on my TBR so that then I can finish this month, and then this month could be like, read what you want, because we're on the green path, and if I finish on the green path it means I can read what I want. Things didn't go to plan because I've been quite busy, and yeah. So the first prompt that we landed on was fiction, and for that I chose October. So this is by Katia Balin, and I actually listened to it on Audible, and it was narrated by Aisha Kala. So this book is a middle grade, and we actually chose it for our October book club read, the book club that I'm in with my friends and family. And yeah, I have to say, when we had our book club meeting for this, it was a bit of a mixed reaction, but I really loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was really sad. Actually, I thought it was a lot sadder than I was expecting. You're essentially following this young girl called October, and she has always lived in the woods in the UK with her father, which you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit with this, because I feel like that would never be allowed to happen. But anyway, so she lives with her father in the woods. They don't see anybody at all, apart from like once a year. She refuses to see her mum because her mum left when she was 4. And yeah, I mean, I did also wonder, you know, how the parents had let this go on for so long, that she refused to see the mum after she left at 4 years old, and now she's 11. So I was quite shocked about that. That's kind of another thing where I felt like you had to suspend your disbelief a little bit, because the dad did want her to know the mum. Anyway, I'm going off the point. So they don't see anyone. They go to this little town once a year, and she's very like accustomed to just living off the land. She helps her dad kind of keep the forest well and everything like that. And it's all very whimsical, and like kind of you feel like it's such a nice life, a nice quiet life. And yeah, anyway, on her 11th birthday, everything completely changes. They find this little baby owl, and her dad injures himself and enters the mother, who October doesn't want absolutely anything to do with. And so it's very much about their relationship and her coming to terms with having to know her mum, and the difference between living in London and living in the woods. And it's very charged with emotion. Yeah, it was just emotionally written. I don't know about writing styles, but yeah, it was. I listened to it, so I didn't see it, but apparently on the page the words was written in a slightly different way. It wasn't always linear. It was like kind of all over the page sometimes, depending on conversations that were going on and stuff like that. But yeah, I won't tell you any more than that, but I absolutely loved it. I empathized, I guess, with October and her thoughts about London compared with nature. Like, I live in London, and I don't love living in London because of some of the reasons that she talks about. And it was just interesting for me from that perspective. I did feel like it was quite heavy for a middle grade. I haven't read loads and loads of middle grades, but I did feel like it was quite heavy subject matter all the way through. And so I do feel like it might be one of those books that if you want to give to children, you would definitely have to read first, just to kind of gauge how that particular child would react to a story like that. But I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. And yeah, I would even listen to it again. Okay, prompt number 2, we got fiction again. And for that, I chose The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. This book I finished yesterday. I've just got the afterword to read, like a little outro thingy written by Toni Morrison about why she wrote the book and things like that, which I'm definitely going to read. But yeah, I finished the actual story yesterday, and I haven't quite finished processing my thoughts about this to be able to talk about it properly. In this book, you're following kind of like, sometimes you're in the mind of a young girl called Claudia, I think her name is. Her name isn't often said. And sometimes you're just being told the story from like an outsider's perspective, or just Toni Morrison telling you the story. And it's a bit kind of mixed up like that. But the main focus, I would say, is on this family who live in 1940s Ohio in in like this very poor kind of area. And in particular, you're focusing on Pekala, who is a young black girl. And yeah, this book, I really, really liked the writing style. I felt like, it says a thing from New York Times on here that says, so charged with pain and wonder that the novel becomes poetry. And I would agree with that. It did feel like, I haven't read much poetry, but it did feel very poetic to me in a lot of cases. I would say as well, there's major trigger warnings for child abuse in here, like in particular sexual abuse, so just be aware of that. Especially towards the end, I found parts of it really difficult to read. This doesn't give anything away about the story, but I don't think, it almost doesn't matter with this if anything is given away with the story. It's all about the process of what's happened to this young girl. But yeah, there's a character at the end where he's writing a letter to God talking about being a paedophile, and I found that really horrible to read. There's also like domestic violence and everything in here as well. And yeah, there's a lot I could say about this book, but I have only finished it yesterday, and I want to read Toni Morrison's like afterward, just to get more of an idea about where she was coming from with certain things. But yeah, I mean, this is Toni Morrison's debut novel, and I'm really glad that I picked it up, because I definitely will be continuing on with her novels over time, I think. Okay, then next up we landed on Free Choice, which is always great, and for that I chose The Black Tongue Thief by Christopher Blumen. And this one, I'm going to count it as read because I'm on page 348 of like 413. This book I really like. Like, I feel like it might be hit or miss. I feel like this might be a divisive book because the main guy in it, I always forget his name because it's like he's not said much. Kinch Na Shanak. He's a thief and he's like really vulgar. So this book is like, it's really vulgar the whole way through, basically. But it's funny. I think it's funny. But it's one of those humours where it's either going to work for you or it's not. And yeah, I enjoy the humour in here. But yeah, you're following Kinch, and he ended up going to school to become a thief. And the way it works out, basically, they tell him, you owe us loads of money now for your school fees, I think. And he hasn't been able to like pay much back, so now they've marked his face, which tells everybody in society that he owes them money. And there's this like thing where if you see someone with this mark on their face, then you get to like slap them around the face, and then you get a free drink from the bar. Like, I'm not sure who pays for this drink, but anyway, you can slap them and get a drink. So it's that kind of like stupid humour. At the beginning, there's like this huge map which has so many different areas on here, and this is definitely a travelling story. He's on a mission with a couple of other people, and they've got to get from one side to the other. So it's definitely like a travelling story, and one of those stories that I don't usually like, where you go from one place to the next and then you have like a danger and then you have to get out of it and move on. Oh, there's another danger and you have to get... Usually I find them really boring because you know for the most part they're going to get out of it, and maybe some characters might die along the way, but the main character's going to live, and sometimes I can find that pretty dull to read. But this one I've definitely enjoyed, I think, every single situation that they've been in, because it's either been funny or it's been kind of smart or interesting or just a bit different to what you would think. And yeah, so I'm really enjoying it. I think it's really good. And I think this is the first in a series. I do feel like I'm very near the end and it would have to wrap up quite quickly for it to not be a series, but I'm not too sure. I have to wait and see what happens in the end, because maybe it wraps up nicely, I don't know. Yeah, so I'm going to count this one as read as well. So that is 3 out of 3 so far. And this is where it goes downhill. So the fourth prompt was F, to read a book featuring water. And for that, I decided to pick Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. This book, okay, I have started reading it. I'm on page 140. I'm reading this with Spencer because it's like Halloween-y time, so why not read like a scary book together? But yeah, I'm not going to count it as read because I'm not even halfway through. Look at that. So I don't think I can count that as read at all. But we are going to carry on reading this into November and finish it up. Don't know if I have the best thoughts about this book. I find it entertaining, and I like that I'm reading it with Spencer because there's things that we laugh at, but the things that we laugh at aren't always supposed to be laughed at. There's some like very questionable metaphors in here. However, I am very intrigued, and I can see why I did hear somebody compare this to Agatha Christie's, what's that book called? Can't remember what it's called, even though I've read it. I'll put the thing up here. I can see the similarities between that and this. However, the similarities kind of end with just like the situation of being isolated in a house, and there's like a bit of a rhyme thing going on in here, and I think that's about where the similarities end. But anyway, I'll reserve judgment until I've finished reading it. But yeah, sadly I cannot count a book featuring water, so I really hope not many of you fulfilled that prompt. We'll see. Okay, and then the last prompt was colour generator, and for that I got red. And so I picked a non-fiction, The Girl with Seven Names by Hyunso Lee. And I did start reading this. I read more at the beginning of the month actually, and then kind of died off at the end. But I'm on page, am I only on page 60? I thought it was further than that. I'm on page 60, so definitely haven't finished this one. However, I am going to carry on reading it because I am finding it really interesting. My coffee's gone cold. I've talked way too much. Way too much. I should just do wrap-ups rather than sticking this at the front of the video, because sometimes I can talk a lot. I guess it's a good thing that I only finish like 2 or 3 books, because otherwise it would go on for 10 years. Okay, so I guess I'm going to go set up the board, and then we're going to work out if I can complete this board or not this month. I must be able to, surely. I just don't know. I have to say, I did push to read the 2 fiction and the free choice ahead of the other 2 because I thought they were easier prompts for you guys to fulfill. So I was like, I best prioritise those and then hope that reading a red book and a book with water was more difficult. I don't know. I had to try and think of something because I definitely wasn't going to finish them all. Okay, anyway, let's wrap this up. Okay, here we are. So we landed on, as the last prompt, colour wheel, which is just there. So that's where we'll start. And we're so close. This says book haul, but that's not the win. I just haven't changed it. But if we finish on this path, then that means I get to read whatever books I want, which is great. If for some reason we end up on the red path, then that means I have to only read books from my TBR jar for the month, which is absolutely terrifying. So we don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want it. Let's go through everybody's comments, which I haven't looked at yet, so I get the nice surprise of what's going on. Okay, first up is Ashley from Ashley's Media Addiction. Now, Ashley smashed it, not gonna lie. So, for fiction, Ashley read The Wrath and the Dawn by Rennie Ede. For colour generator, she read The Rose and the Dagger by the same author. For fiction, she read Scooby Apocalypse Volume 4 by Keith Giffen. For free choice, she read Everyone is Going to Die by Daniel Sloss. And for features water, she read Scooby Apocalypse Volume 5 by Keith Giffen again. And yeah, she smashed it. She completed all 5 prompts. So I didn't stand a chance, and I've got to move a step back. Well done, Ashley. Okay, next up we have Aimee. And Aimee read... Oh, interesting. Okay, sorry. I'll let you know what I'm reading before I just exclaim. Okay, so for fiction, Aimee read My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. For free choice, she read The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson. For Vermilion, which was like the red, she read They Never Learn by Lane Fargo. And for features water, she read Daisy Darker. Oh my god, I would love to know what you think of Daisy Darker, Aimee, so please let me know, because yeah, me and Spencer have thoughts for sure. for sure. And so again, I have to take a step back because I didn't complete the red or the water prompt. Oh gosh, this is going to go really badly for me. Thank you, Aimee. Okay, so Louisa, oh gosh, maybe I should have read these comments before I decided which books to prioritise, because it seems like featuring water was very popular. Oh gosh, okay, Louisa read, for featuring water, 2 books, The Kraken Sacrifice by Katie Robert and Fateful by Claudia Gray. And yeah, smashed it. The Kraken Sacrifice. I love Krakens, so I'd be interested to see what that one's about for sure. Thanks, Louisa. I'll move on back. This isn't going well, guys. Am I going to move forward at all? Okay, next up we've got Jessica. And Jessica completed all the prompts as well, so definitely not moving forward. Okay, so for fiction book, Jessica read Finlay Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead by Ellie Cosimano. For the other fiction book, The Office of Historical Corrections and Other Stories by Danielle Evans. Free choice was Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. Featuring water is Monkey Beach by Eden Robinson. And Colour Generator, Vermilion is The Maid by Nita Prose. So well done, Jessica. Again, smashed it. Oh gosh. Okay, next up we've got Carissa. And Carissa read for fiction, Rosemary's Baby. For the second fiction, The Black God's Drum. Then free choice, The Test, which, I've got that. I did start that. I did want to finish it. I don't know why I didn't, because it's really short. And then for featuring water, a book called Bird Box, because there's a river in that. Thanks, Carissa. Back we go. Damn it, I should have finished Daisy Darker. What was I thinking? Next up, we've got Ruby Red. And Ruby Red, I'm never going to get bored of that. I love that. She lies in wait and watching from the dark. Oh, no. 2 fiction books. I made that one really long title. She Lies in Wait and Watching from the Dark, both by Gaitha Lodge. For free choice, The Burning God by R.F. Kuang. And sadly for me, a book featuring water. But great for me, Mad Ship by Robin Hobb. I hope you like that, Ruby, because, you know, I freaking love Robin Hobb, as everybody probably knows if you've been watching my channel for a while. But because Ruby read a book featuring water, which I should have looked at these, why didn't I? I have to take a step back. Oh my gosh. Next up we have Magda, and Magda read, luckily for me, Magda didn't list every book she read, she just chose one to put in. And so for one of the fiction prompts, Magda finished Brother Song by TJ Klune, and that means finally I get a step forward. Yes, thank you, Magda, thank you. Oh yes, okay, next up we have Precious, and Precious read a book for free choice, and for free choice she read Solace by Gail Carriger, and I can take a step forward, amazing. Okay, LeeAnna completed Human Acts by Han Khan for free choice, and so that's another step forward. Thanks, LeeAnna. Okay, my mum commented next, and mum also read October, so I'm going to say she used that for a fiction or a free choice, because she didn't actually state what she used that for, but I'm taking that step forward, guys, because mum did read October, and that is one step forward. Woohoo! And so we didn't complete, and we're in danger of having to cross over to the other side, but that is everybody's read, so this is where we are. And again, it is my fault that we had to go backwards so many times. Okay, so enough jibber jabber. The first prompt that we get this month is Expedition Through Pages. Okay, so our first prompt is Expedition Through Pages, which basically means read from another country other than your own. And for me, in particular, it means for my Reading Around the World challenge. And I have the shame that I'm going to be putting The Elimination by Ritty back on my TBR. I did get 15% of the way through, I think, when I just looked. But this is written by Ritty, who is a Cambodian film documentary director. Yes, this is like his memoir of sorts. But yeah, I won't say any more than that. I need to get on and read it. This has been on my TBR far too many times. I'm very embarrassed at this point. Okay guys, so I just rolled all my rolls, but the camera for my rolls weren't on, and the rule is if it's not on camera it doesn't count, so I'm an idiot. So let's start again, shall we? So here we are on Expedition Through Pages, and let's try again. Let's go for roll number 1. 1. Well, that's what happened last time, so it looks like the gods weren't looking out for me. I was like, do you know what? It wasn't filmed. That means I don't have to count it. Looks like I do have to count it. No. Okay, And to make matters a whole lot worse, when you cross this bridge, you land on TBR jar, which sucks. Okay, roll number 1 made us cross the bridge over to the red path. Absolutely devastated. I can only blame myself that this has happened because of my lack of finishing my TBR last month, but that doesn't make it any less sad. Okay, so this is my TBR jar. It's a little cup, Matilda cup. And yeah, let's find out, I guess, what book I'll be reading. This cup is filled with books that were on my TBR like a year or 2 years ago, so none of my new books have gone in here. So this is essentially like all my old books that I should have read. And I haven't been taking them out, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Okay, green. Please be good, please be good. The problem of increasing human energy. Did I read that? Let me see. Okay, this is that book. It's by Nikola Tesla, and it's him just writing about, yeah, the problem of increasing human energy. And I feel like I did start this, another book I started and didn't finish. Classic me. But I don't think I finished it. Yeah, this is a really beautiful copy of it. I do have it in like a bind up of other writings of his as well, but this one, it's got like all nice pictures. The book's really nice. Spencer bought this for me at the Nikola Tesla Museum in Belgrade. As I don't remember reading it, yeah, I definitely didn't finish it. Definitely not. And it's short, and I've got a really busy November, so I think I've lucked out with this, to be perfectly honest. I'm very interested in reading it in its entirety, and the fact that I don't remember, to be honest, I may as well just read it again anyway. If I did read any of it, it clearly didn't stick. So yeah, this is what I'll be reading from my TBR jar. For you guys, if you want to just make your own like random number generator or pick a pile of books and do a random number generator, could be your oldest books if you want to be mean to yourself, but I'll kind of say anything goes with this. As long as something about it is randomized, then that's fine. Okay, let's go for roll number 2. 1 again. Oh, what's the world? Because we've got Expedition 3 pages. Oh, this must be read a book from a certain continent. So I'll do some sort of continent generator, and we'll have to pick a book from there, which is fun. Roll number 2 got us continent pick, which is very exciting. I do like this one. So I'll put a clip here, but basically went on a just random continent picker website-y thing, and I pressed the button, and the continent that I got was Antarctica, which couldn't be more annoying because I don't have any books set in Antarctica, and I did want to try and read books on my own TBR, especially recently, but I did go onto Scribd and I typed in Antarctica to see what came up, just so I didn't have to buy anything. And I've actually found this book, which is really short again, which is helpful for November for me. It's called Melting Away, a 10-year journey through our endangered polar regions by Camille Seaman. I did look it up on Goodreads, and there's only like 74 votes, but it did get over 4 something stars, I think. So that's a good sign. And what surprised me about this is that it's on Scribd, but Camille is a photographer. So this book is a collection of 74, is it? Let's have a look. Yeah, oh, 75. Melting Away collects 75 of Seaman's most captivating photographs, life-affirming images that reveal not only what we have already lost, but more importantly, what we still have that is worth fighting to save. So I looked on Scribd, and they do include the pictures, because I was like, are they going to be like okay? But the one that I looked at seemed okay, so I think I'm going to give it a go. This was actually published in 2014, so it'll be interesting to know kind of the state of things now compared to 8 years ago, because I bet things have just got worse and worse. But it does say Camille Seaman for 10 years documented the rapidly changing Earth polar regions. She went aboard as a photographer on different ships in the Arctic and Antarctica. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what she has to say. Anyway, so that is my choice for Antarctica. Yeah, guys, Antarctica is a difficult one, I guess. Time for roll number 2. 5. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think this is reread, you know. Okay, so roll number 3 got Old Fave. So this is a reread, and I would say for you guys, you could just read a book that you love, that you've loved, basically, because it's got a little heart inside. So as long as you loved it, I mean, why would you reread it if you didn't love it? You might, but pick a book that you absolutely love and you want to reread it. And for me in particular, like 2 years ago, maybe longer, I made a video of a collection of books that I used to love when I was younger, but I've completely forgotten what they're about. So I don't know why I loved them. I just know that I loved them. And I'll put a link in the description if you want to go and check out that video. It's really old, so I don't know what it's like. But anyway, recently I went to the charity shop and I bought a book from that video because it was only £1 or something, which was quite good. And that book is Only Forward by Michael Marshall Smith. The tagline is, "Ever wondered where you go to dream?" I don't remember anything about this book. That was the point of that video. Yeah, I know that I loved it. I know that me and my brother read it and we absolutely loved it. And the cover is so cool. I love this cover. I'm just slightly worried that it won't have aged well. That's like my worry with this. So it's kind of like science fiction-y. Oh, it says the thriller has just evolved. So maybe it's thrillery. I don't know. Okay, so let's see when it was published. Oh, it was first published in 1994. So yeah, I really hope it's aged well, but we'll soon find out. So yeah, this is the book that I'm going to choose from that video to read, which I'm very excited about. And finally, roll number 4. And what we're looking for is 1, 2, 3, because what we don't want is to have to read in the whole of December books from my TBR jar. I do not want that. I do not want to win this time. But also, I don't want to go around this horrible lake of doom. So I feel a bit stuck because I feel like the only way out of this situation is to go around this lake and out and round and back onto the green path, which is going to take a few months if that happens. But the only other option is that I have to read from my TBR jar for the whole of December, which helps me decide what I'm going to do for my December reading because I get absolutely no choice. Oh dear. Okay, what do we wish for? Lake of Doom or TBR jar? Or maybe we won't finish. I don't know. Okay. Let's go for the last roll. Roll number 4. 6. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Guys. That took a turn. Okay, so that's it. The game is over. It screwed me over. And I really thought that I was going to be able to read whatever I wanted, either this month or in December. I was absolutely certain of that in my head. And so I've been trying to come up with different, like, videos to do in December for, like, different reads and things like that. But now we know what we're doing in December, and that is picking from this TBR jar for the whole month. And I really hope that I don't end up picking out like a ridiculous book that's a non-fiction STEM book that's like 800 pages long or something like that, because then that will be everything that I'm reading in December, which would suck. But yeah, anyway, we know what's happening in December, and I was wanting to restart it again in January, so that's kind of worked out. So in January I will start the game again. I will need to come up with 2 different outcomes for the end, and this time I will try and actually replace it on the board so it's more obvious. So if you have any ideas of what we could use instead, then let me know, and I can add it, I can take it into account and maybe choose it. And yeah, thank you guys so much for playing along. It's been so fun, and yeah, I've loved it. I've loved you guys joining in. I love the way that I have no idea how the game's going to go, because it totally depends on what everybody else is reading, and I absolutely love that. I think it's really fun, and I hope you guys do too. So yeah, thank you so much for playing. I really appreciate it. And yeah, so far, this happened when I was trialing the game as well. First game we played, I started on the red path and ended on the green path. And this game we played, I started on the green path and I've ended on the red path. And when I was trialing it, that kept happening. So we'll see if that happens again a third time. I think what I'm going to do as well for January is change up the prompts for some of them. I'll leave some of them on because I like them. Maybe the red path will probably stay very similar, but the green path is based on my 2022 reading goals, so I think I'm going to change those up ready for January as well, depending on what the new goals are. And I try to make it loose so you know it works for you as well. I'm glad these are fairly short because there are a couple of other books that I want to read in November. The first is, I'm actually reading The Empire by Michael Ball, who is like an English theatre actor. He's written a fiction book, and one of the ladies in my book club absolutely loves him. So I will be reading that this month as well. I've already started it, and I'm listening to it, so it shouldn't be too difficult to get to. The other book that I'm hoping to finish in November, which I think is ambitious, is Anna Karenina, which I'm buddy reading with Aimee from A-Star Reads. And yeah, we're not too far through. We're on page 166, so not too far in, but absolutely loving this. I'm really, really enjoying it. So I do have the audio on Scribd as well of this edition, so hopefully that helps me kind of get through it. But it's a really easy read. As soon as you sit down to read it, it does fly by. It's just, you know, with other stuff to read, it's difficult. So yeah, anyway, that is everything. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I didn't say as well, but did I already say? But today marks the anniversary of me putting my first booktube video out ever. So yeah, I put my first video out on the 1st of November 2019 in time for Believathon, which was a middle grade readathon run by Gavin Heverington from How to Train Your Gavin. And yeah, anyway, so it's my 3-year anniversary today, I guess. Which is nice, and this was fun to play, and it's definitely put a spark back in my step. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope everyone's doing well. If you've read any of these books, I'd love to hear your thoughts, non-spoilery thoughts on them, non-spoilery thoughts. And yeah, I hope you have a lovely November and that you've had a lovely October. Take care everybody, and hopefully I will see you soon. Bye!